And go for it, Tim. Oh, I think you're muted. There we go.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tim Helbing. I'm Rebel Legion Captain of the Guard. For those of you who don't know who I am or what I do, and Catherine asked me to step in and talk a little bit about elections that are coming up starting this Monday. And so here I am. Elections begin 12:01 Monday morning, September 13th. I have already got everything assigned. So you'll start seeing that show up hopefully within your time zone. I tried to get everything as close as I could as far as who's administering what to the time zone that the base is in. So, for example, in the Asia Pacific region and Australia, I have my assistant captain of the guard, Seb, and Sarah Steele, Legion Council member from Australia. They'll both be handling the Asia Pacific region. I've got it divided up between the two of them. So for those of us that are in the past over here in the Western Hemisphere, it'll be showing up in the future because you'll be already seeing that in your areas in the Asia Pacific region, um, and so on. Uh, how the process works. Nominations will start 12:01 Monday morning. It'll run for 1 week. You don't have to have a second if you're already the base commander. You can go ahead and nominate yourself if you want. If you are not the base commander and you want to run, you will need a second, and you'll have to have had, per the charter, you'll have to have been a member of good standing for 1 year, or been with currently a member in good standing that have been a member for a year. If you want to run for Legion Commanding Officer, you have to be a member for 2 years and have prior experience that's outlined in the charter. Um, Usually experience such as base commanding officer, member of Legion Council, that sort of thing. Um, After nominations close, there'll be a week-long Q&A, question and answer. Questions have to be asked of both candidates, or all candidates, I should say. Um, if only one person is nominated, then that's it. The election is over for that position. Question and answer, like I said, it'll run for 1 week. The questions have to be asked of both candidates. And when the question and answer period ends and voting begins, the candidates will still have an additional 2 days into the voting period to answer questions that were asked prior to the cutoff. And the voting phase, again, will last for 1 week. So, and that'll be it. And we'll verify the results as quickly as we can after the election period is over and post them for everybody to see. That's it in a nutshell. I'm sure campaigning. I'm sorry. Campaigning is not allowed, and campaigning is basically vote for me or try to get my. I will do this to get your vote. Quid pro quo. Um, Posting that there are elections going on is not campaigning. You're just not allowed to say that you are running for office. So you can go ahead and say, hey, elections are such and such. Here are the links to the forum posts. Good luck to everybody who's running. That's fine. But you can't say, because, hey, elections are coming up or starting. I am running for position XYZ. Please vote for me, and here's the link. So that's the difference. And I think that covers just about everything to do with elections. I'm sure I've missed something. Rick, you've had this job since before I had it. You have anything to add?
No, you covered the basics of it pretty well.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Do we have anybody moderating?
No questions so far.
Okay.
I think since it seems like it's only going to be the two people, I think I might just allow unmuting and
They can ask
video.
direct.
Yeah, so if you guys want to unmute yourselves and turn on video when somebody is done speaking to ask your questions, you can go ahead and do that. We are a small crowd.
Were there any questions on the forum?
No.
No, there were not.
All right, well, thank you, Tim. Can you briefly describe what the LCOG does, since that is the first of the roles that we'll go over?
Is I wouldn't say the chief administrative officer, because that's obviously the LCO is the head of everything. What I do is I'm basically the arbiter of the charter and help handle disciplinary issues that come before us. Um, so I'm basically have my hands in everything as captain of the guard. I'm an advisor to the council, the charter committee, the inclusion committee, diversity and inclusion committee. And again, if there's any disciplinary issues or somebody's accused of charter violations, that falls under my jurisdiction as well. And basically what's involved there is someone will come up and either say they're unhappy about something or straight up accuse somebody of a charter violation. And the first step is to try to mediate the situation, try to talk to the parties involved and come to a satisfactory conclusion to everybody to resolve the situation. And if that doesn't work and they're still wanting to pursue charges of charter violations, then I have them write something up and I submit it to the Legion Council for review. And from there, it's decided whether or not a hearing is warranted and it'll go through the hearing process or not. And all that, I mean, I can't give you a firm answer on how many hours a week my job takes up. Some weeks it doesn't take up very much other than just Legion chat, say a couple hours a week, maybe half an hour a day. Other weeks, it's a full-time job in addition to my regular job. It really just depends on what's going on at what time. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to it. And that's everything in a nutshell, I think. Again, Rick, you've done this. Is there anything you want to add to it?
Well, there's a lot of review. There can be at times a lot of writing, a lot of communicating skills of dealing with people, especially people that are upset. If you know you have those types of skills, that would be a good asset to bring to the table to help in these difficult situations where you have unhappy people. Being able to negotiate and be a neutral moderator to help settle these things. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it takes more stringent activities or things to do to come to resolution in some cases. But I tell people that are interested in the LCOG position, prepare for the worst. They can only get better. And what I kind of mean by that is prepare to put a lot of time and effort into it. And if it happens to go an easier route where you're not as busy, well, that's a good thing. We don't really want the COG to be all that busy. We want things to be happy and harmonious in the Legion. But be prepared for the worst. Prepare to spend a lot of time. And like he said, there will be slow times, but then everything will just slam all at once, and you'll just be all your free time will just spent researching, investigating, contacting people, writing, or doing mediation or whatever the case is. And then election time, is full bore from the moment that nominations start until all the votes are counted. That is a full-time job in and of itself as well. So just be prepared to spend a lot of time working.
Thanks, Rick.
Mm-hmm.
All right, looks like Chris is asking, how is the cog chosen every year? Do you want to take that, Tim, or one of us can too? I mean, I guess that's going to be how all these positions are chosen every year. Is
Well, obviously, it waits until the election process is over. Then what happens is a call is put out for volunteers who are interested in the position, and that'll happen to all the administrative spots. The process is the same for all of them. And basically there'll be a Q&A where the Legion Council and the LCO will ask questions and get a feel for what the candidates bring. And then what will happen is the LCO will pick who they think will do the best job, get the council to support it, hopefully. And if so, then it'll be going to the Rebel Command Council made up of all the BCOs for ratification. And they'll serve until the next COG is seated or the next administrative officer is seated after the following election.
yeah. So what makes these elections very different from the others is the fact that it is after the general election that elects the LCO and the LAC happens, because those are the ones who are choosing it. And with the charter revision, there is the SOP that it is more than just the LCO, deciding and hoping to convince the LAC. There is a vote now for the whole Legion Command Council. So yeah, and that's going to be how all these are described. And looks like he's also wondering about how the assistant cogs are chosen, and how one can get involved with the cog position if not selected as the LCOG.
It's the same sort of thing, just a level removed. Once the COG is chosen, they put out a call for assistance. Sometimes people will carry over from term to term. I carried over for 3. And I became the head COG, and some of the people from Rick's administration stayed on, and then obviously I recruited more. Language skills are very helpful. I've had several this year where somebody knowing Spanish would be very helpful. I haven't had too many outside of Spanish language, Spanish or English. But if you have a foreign language that you're versed in, or you speak a foreign language as your first language, but understand English, either spoken or written, that's very helpful, and that would definitely be a plus. And again, the same sort of skill set that Rick described as being able to be neutral, good at negotiating, that sort of thing. But again, the process is the same. It's just one step removed, and the COG will pick who he or she thinks will do the best job, and how many assistants the council is willing to give them. The more assistants you have, the better it is, especially if they're experienced, because you can dump work onto them, and then election time comes, and it's all hands on deck for everybody. So the more hands you've got, the easier the workload is for everyone. But it really, just like I said, it's just kind of the same situation. It's just a step further down.
Yeah, and I'd say that's how it is for, the majority of the positions that we're going to talk about today. Is if you're interested and you weren't elected, volunteer to help out who was elected. All of the positions I can think of, LMO has assistant LMOs, LPRO has assistant PR officers. For the Legion Charity Liaison last year, there was 4 people who signed up for it, and we were like, all right, all 4 of you sound good. So we just went with that as a shared position. So, really it is, in most cases, just ask. And if you're qualified, you'll be given things to do. So, yeah. All right. Does anyone have any more questions for Tim? I know he needs to log off and because he's in a later time zone. Anything else for Tim before we move on?
I don't see anything else.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tim.
Great.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
All right. I think Augustin is next up on the docket to tell us about a few of these roles.
Yes, Legion Membership Officer. No? Well, hello. My name is Austin. I am member of Legion Council. I am going to speak about the Legion Membership Officer. I make two questions. The first question is, who is the membership officer? The membership officer is the person charged with overseeing the Legion costume standards and LCJs, Legion costume shop. The membership officer coordinates all appeals for denied memberships or custom requests and advise the Liaison Council on membership issues and modifications they feel are necessary. Generally, the membership office is no voting advisor to Liaison Council. Obviously, these positions has a lot of duties. The duties are as follows. The membership officer is the leader of the Liaison costume choose team, LCJ's teams. The membership officer maintains access to the all costume applications and acts as the mediator in regards to ruling or decision that occur between in the base or output command units, for example, a BCO and the LCJs. Generally, the membership officer will receive copies of the email between the LCJs and applicants when using the Legion's email system. And it's very important that the membership offices always have the final decision on each case. Another duty is that the membership officer should review the new and updated standards submitted by the detachment and finish them for upload to the Revolution website. We have the SOP in our Revolution Charter explaining how costume standards are created and improved. It's very important there is communication and joint work between the Legion membership officers, the detachment leaders, and the Legion custom shoes teams. Another important point is that the membership officer must work with the detachment to identify the qualified candidates for LCA positions. Detachment leaders can present a list of the candidates for LCJs to the membership officer for their own category, and membership officer together with their assistants we choose the best candidates, and whereafter they had to be confirmed by the Liaison Council. The membership officer should also work with detachment to develop resources to assist in the costume creations and membership process. This can be done by creating protocols, templates, documents, etc. Another point, the membership officer may override the elective-based output and detachment level on issues of costume approvals and costume standard. Always has the final decision. And finally, the membership officer can choose all the assistants that this person needs. These candidates must be confirmed by the Liaison Council. I make the second questions in this presentation is, can any member of the Revolution apply to be the Liaison membership officer? The answer is yes, but if this person meets the following conditions. The condition one, the candidate must be an active member of the Revolution's 1 year. The candidate must have more than costume in the Revolution, it's very important. And it's advisable the candidate has previous experience as a Legion custom shoes or membership officer or assistant membership officer. And this candidate has some kind of leadership experience, having been the detachment leader or BCO, for example. So, if this candidate is elected, there are one restriction. The membership officer may not hold the position of Legion custom shoes for a particular costume category, while serving as the membership officer, of course. And there is an exception in the case that there are no LCJ for a specified category at the time. That's all.
All right, anybody have any questions about the LMO position?
I don't see any posted on the chat.
Okay, well, let's move on to the LPRO then.
Okay, so I'm going to speak to you about this position, the Relation PR officer or public relation officer. I made the same questions. The first question is, who is the Relation PR officer? The Relation PR officer is the person charged for everything related to the Revelation content that is published on official Revelation sites, groups, public image, branding, and communication with other non-profit organizations, for example, UNICEF or Make-A-Wish, the sister groups, for example, Fire First Legion, Cyberville, etc., and of course, Lucasfilm Disney. The PR officer advised the Legion Council on PR issues. Generally, the PR officer is a no-voting advisor to Legion Council. Obviously, these positions has a lot of duties. The first duty is the PR officer is the leader of the Legion PR team. These persons prepare and catalog public relations materials and resources for the revelations, approves new public relation materials. The PR officer can answer questions from the public, general public and members. Another duty is that the PR officer performs any other functions assigned to it by the Legion Council, can override elected officers at the base, output, and detachment level in public relations and brand matters. Another point is the PR officer approves the design of the new logos or new updates in these logos of the detachment, local and international bases and outposts. We have the written document with everything we need so that we can create logos, flyers, and other elements where our brand is, with everything that Revelation needs: disclaimer, color, format, fonts, etc. We'll also have in mind that in this logo we cannot use any element from our plan. For example, we don't have put the wolf in the logo, but we can use the Shista banner, for example. We'll always have to use element and reference from the Star Wars universe. And finally, the PR officer can choose all the assistants. This candidate must be confirmed by the Legion Council. The second question is very similar. Very similar. Can any member of the Revolution apply to be the Legion PR officer? The answer is yes, but if this person meets the following condition too. The candidate must be an active member of the Revolution for at least 1 year. It's important that the candidate had previous experience as a PR officer at the base, outpost, or detachment level. Another condition is important the candidate has knowledge and experience in graphic design and use of the graphic design tool, or has someone on their team who does. Another point is also important that the PR officer had an intimate knowledge of how social media platforms work and how their algorithms function. If they themselves do not understand the ins and outs of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and other social media, it's important that they have someone on their team who does. Well, if this candidate is elected, there are one restriction too. The PR officer cannot have another position while the PR officer has this position. For example, this person cannot be VCO or VCO at the same time. That's all.
Thank you.
There you go.
One thing I want to add is really like just, I can't overstate how important it is that the LPRO have probably somebody for every platform that just really understands how that individual algorithm works, because it's different on every one's. On some of them, if you use a hashtag, it'll boost that, and show up in the search. But then on other ones, using a hashtag, if it's not currently trending, that makes your post show up in fewer places. Like it's kind of a mess, how social media works these days. So it really, really is important for the LPRO to have assistant LPROs to help with that stuff, because I don't think one person can know all of those ins and outs unless, that's their day job as well. So,
And they're always changing, unfortunately.
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. It's like,
Any questions about LPRO from the audience?
So
oh, well, okay.
Thought it was worth a shot.
Okay.
All right, go for it, Michael.
All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is the Legion Webmaster. One that a lot of people maybe won't necessarily interact with very much, but is very, very, very essential to the smooth running of things in the Legion. Basically, what the Legion Webmaster and their team's main job is to keep things like the website, the forums, the costume standards, all of those things up and running as they currently are. Fix anything that needs to be, or handle anything that's having any issues, something were to go down or need to be updated, make sure that things are secure, things of that variety. What the charter has to say about it is that the appointment of the Legion Webmaster is someone who is appointed by a simple majority or plurality of the Legion Administrative Council. Nominees, as noted for the other positions, are usually chosen by, or are chosen by the Legion Commanding Officer. Among the active membership, there you go. All right. The search will be open for a minimum of 7 days. All candidates will then have a 1 week or 7 day time period to have a Q&A session, so that the Legion Administrative Council can get to know better their skills and what experience they have. In the event that a Legion Webmaster becomes unavailable for duty, the Legion Commanding Officer will designate an interim Legion Webmaster until a new one is selected. Requirements and restrictions: the Legion Webmaster must have a strong working knowledge and up-to-date coding practices relating to the Rebel Legion's online infrastructure, including the website and the forums. Something that would be really helpful is always, in the case of the webmaster, that they're familiar with the content management systems, how our database runs, anything like that. And we're always looking for volunteers of any kind in that regard, particularly to be the webmaster who would act then as the administrator of their team. As noted with some of the other positions, there are also assistants, and it's always good to have more than one person, so that, especially in different time zones, so if something goes askew in the middle of the night, that someone else could be there and readily be able to address it, as opposed to it will be, a dead website until whoever gets up the next morning. So as delineated by the charter, the Legion Webmaster is responsible for the development and maintenance of the RL's website, including repairing any bugs and implementing new features. They're also responsible for helping the base, outpost webmasters, and detachment webmasters to build their own websites, making sure that the content on both those and the main site are kept in sync. As far as assistance goes, the Legion Webmaster can select other Rebel Legion members to assist them in their duties. These assistants will be known collectively as the web team. Service on the web team is not considered a formal office and does not preclude being on one of the other positions. So you could be a base XO or have a detachment position and still be an assistant webmaster, so long as you're able to spend the time and fully support both jobs. So you can be in those other offices. The webmaster must notify the LAC of any appointments they plan to make to the web team. From talking to various past webmasters, they note that the time commitment varies. It can vary any more from a few minutes to 1 to 2 hours every day. Some days much more than others, some days not at all. It just depends how well things are running and what questions there are, or bugs that need to be addressed. One of our more recent webmasters also noted that he would like to let people know that it's important that they're available whenever problems happen, because problems aren't usually scheduled. They're not usually, well, this will happen at 4 o'clock every Monday afternoon. Problems happen when they happen, and it's important to address those as soon as possible so that things work right. And it's a good idea, like noted before, that they can have members of their team that can address things in different time zones and or just be on call and ready if there are any things that need to be addressed. But a very, very important position. We're always looking for people who have the requisite skill sets, that understand back-end and infrastructure and how things work and how to maintain and keep things secure. If anybody is interested in those things, by all means, put your name forward, either for the main position or one of the assistants. The more the merrier. It's good to have a quality and robust team, especially with what we're looking to do in the coming years, so that the website can be a good and viable resource for all of our members. Do we have any questions from our current audience about webmastering?
I don't see anything posted, Mike.
No. Just throwing it out there, seeing if there is. Oh, hold it.
Oh, here's one.
We have
so
one.
This is a skilled position, and you must have previous knowledge, correct?
Ideally, I mean, certainly it's something that you could learn or be trained in. As far as an assistant, it would really be ideal, preferable, as noted in the charter, that the webmaster proper have some familiarity with current web standards, infrastructure, and backend and programming. Just because you'll be dealing with that every day. Certainly, the ability and existing skill set of assistants can vary, but for the person in charge of the team, you'd want to have at least a little bit of skill in that regard, so that you can deal with the things that will be happening regularly in the job. Excellent question. Thank you, Chris.
Anyone else have any questions? Nope.
All right. The next one we have on our list is the Web Development Officer, which is a newer position that we started this last term. The Web Development Officer's main job is to plan and to take care of implementation of new infrastructure and content and various updates to the website. So as we're looking to update the costume standards and the forums and a variety of other things, that would be a position that could help plan, organize, and put those things together. Would work hand in hand with the webmaster and web team, but focus on upgrades, improvements, and new things. As with the other positions, they are put forward by the LCO and voted on by the Administrative Council, and in a very similar manner to the webmaster, this would be one that would be excellent to have some familiarity with, current code, best practices, and standards. And certainly we would be very much indebted to any and all who have those skill sets to put themselves forward, so that we can get you on the team in one of these three positions, either webmaster, the development officer, or an assistant webmaster. Because a nice, robust team there would be excellent to accomplish several of the things we have in mind and are planning to do this coming term. Any questions about the Web Development Officer?
I just want to point out that as you may have noticed, we don't have a new website and new forum yet. We've definitely made progress this year, but Web Development Officer is definitely going to be, overseeing. We have a plan. We have made progress. It just hasn't been, very visible to the general member. But this is definitely going to be an important role to actually be implementing what we have figured out we're going to do. So.
Yes, indeed. There is a plan. We've got some things in place, but certainly having a skillful and able team here would facilitate getting done what needs to be done, so that the site can move forward. We can get past the held together by duct tape and bubblegum stage and into a nice, robust and secure forum set of costume standards and the main website for promotion and various information. But all of these officers in this grouping are very, very, very essential to that. So if you have those skills, please join us. We'd like to work with you.
All right, any more questions about web development officer? Anything else web related?
I don't see anything
Okay.
posted, Catherine.
All right, well then I will go on to the ones I'm going to talk about. So I'll first be talking about the merchandise officer. So Legion merchandise officer is responsible for overseeing all of the Legion merch as well as all of the swag. So anything that's handed out for free at conventions. So that they also record, monitor, and approve all of the merchandising and all the related fundraising that is done at both the local and the global levels. And they have to make sure that copyright is not violated in any of that. We don't own the copyright to Star Wars words and imagery. We do not own the rights to the Rebel crest that is part of our logo. Lucasfilm owns all of that. So it is really important for the merch officer to understand that and help enforce that. They maintain a list of vendors and suppliers who can produce various items that we know to be reputable, that make good stuff and, send it to us on time, all that kind of thing. They moderate all the merch forums on our website, and they bring any violations of merch policies to the attention of the Legion Captain of the Guard, the LCOG. So that's a lot. This is one of the roles that prevents you from holding any other elected or appointed position within the Rebel Legion at the global level, the base or outpost level, or the detachment level, just because it is so much that you have to do. The current merchandise officer says that he spends about 15 to 20 hours per week on this. So it is a big job. So we highly advise that you have a team supporting you. Like all the other positions, you can choose your assistants. There's a lot of people out there who know how to do merch runs, either as artists or the person who changes the art into something that can be printed as a patch, who knows the ways to ship things easily, especially internationally, knows the ins and outs of working with PayPal and working with the vendors. So there's a lot of different skills that are needed here. So having a good team is really important. This can be a really difficult job that people can get very emotional about because things go wrong that are outside of their control. Shipping is a wild card right now, especially during the pandemic. A lot of things went sideways really quickly for us. When you're receiving the merchandise from the vendor, a lot of times that's made outside of the US, so things can get held up at customs or overseas, etc. And then just individual shipments can be lost in the mail and need to be replaced. So, not to discourage anyone from running for it, but it's a big job, and it's going to be a lot of customer service type support, more so than any other role is. And there's some things that are just totally out of your control when it comes to the Postal Service. Yeah. Anybody have any questions about the merchandise officer role?
I don't see anything posted, Catherine.
Alrighty, I'll move right along to the Legion Charity Liaison. So this role is not currently defined in the charter. Oh,
Wait,
someone's asking if there is an
there's
assistant.
an assistant to the merch officer.
Yes, they can choose as many assistants as they would like. And, I would highly recommend that they choose many assistants. Yeah, and Chris is asking about if they approve logos. Yes, they do. Also, there is the branding officer, which is something that's appointed by the LCO. That's also new from this past year, who's supposed to assist with that. So that's kind of one way that we're baking in an assistant so that it can be somebody else's problem to make sure that it's the right color of orange and whatnot that we're using for all of our rebel crests. But yeah, absolutely, you know, if you're going to do this job effectively, I would highly recommend having as many capable assistants as you can find.
No others
All right.
posted.
All right, now moving on to Legion Charity Liaison. So like I said, this is not currently defined in the charter, which is what allowed us last year to just be like, oh, there's 4 good candidates for it. Okay, all 4 of you are Legion Charity Liaison. Also known as the LCL, they coordinate all of the charity work that takes place at the Legion level. And they assist with the base outpost level, but they're not, you know, the ones who are boots on the ground working on that. So their duties include, but are not limited to, tracking and reporting the fundraising totals from individual bases and outposts. That's a good part of the time that is spent is just communicating with all of those BCOs and OCOs about, you know, like, okay, you know, you did this con, how much did you raise and for what charity? They like to report on that as much as they can. It's cool to see how much people are raising for good causes. They also advise and answer any questions of the base and outpost leadership for their charitable efforts. You know, questions about like, how do you handle cash donations, that kind of stuff. They research new charity opportunities for our club, and they also manage the charity aspect of large scale Rebel Legion events. So things like Celebration, and as well as our webathons, Rebelthon, Rebel Read, stuff like that. They support the merchandise officer in merchandise runs that are done as a fundraiser for charitable causes as well. And they promote the charitable works among our membership. So to do this role, the LCL should be good at researching charitable organizations to find out if they are ones that we should be supporting, you know, making sure that they use their funds wisely, that sort of thing. Things that are going to, you know, be a good fit for us. We usually talk, at least I know for like Rebelthon and Rebel Reads, we pass our chosen charities past Lucasfilm. So it's good that we're choosing ones that are good so that Lucasfilm approves them and says, yeah, go for it. So it's great if you have familiarity with that, if you have past experience working for charities, nonprofits, stuff like that. It's not required that you've done that, but it's good if you have. And with all the other positions, the LCO can pick more people to assist them, and that makes up the charity team. And they spend, the current members spend about 10 to 15 hours a week on the role when there's not anything big going on, and that's just checking in with managing the charitable work that's at the base outpost level, as well as like the merchandise runs that are happening at a Legion level. When there is a big event like Celebration or a webathon, it's over 20 hours. And at least for the webathons, our like spin up for that is about 2 months. So it is definitely a lot of time. But again, you can make it less time if you have more assistance. Anybody have any questions about that?
I don't see anything posted, Catherine.
All right. I will move on then to the Legion Events Coordinator. This is another role that is not currently defined in the charter, but it's something that is really critical to how our club operates, because this is who vets every event request that comes in through our website. So they make sure that it's something that we can do based on, you know, what the charter lays out as our mission, and communicates with the person who sent that in for approving or declining the event. So it's the vast majority of this work is just answering emails in a timely manner. Also, when Lucasfilm has high profile events, they coordinate who is going to do that. Those are more rare. That's not going to be a day-to-day kind of thing. But when it does happen, that is a big thing. You know, when the call goes out for some things, so like with the Rise of Skywalker premiere, when there was that application process for people to be part of that. That was the Legion Events Coordinator who was managing all of that, which was a lot. So they need to have good communication skills, be able to quickly respond to emails, and understand the parameters of what is acceptable for a Revelation event. And as with every other role, they can pick other people to assist them. These assistants make up the events team. And the current events coordinator says that he spends about 3 to 5 hours every week on this role. And that's all we got for you guys. If you have any questions about that or anything else we've talked about.
Chris has a question. Do they approve birthday parties and weddings?
Not usually. If it's something like, a kid that we saw when they were in the hospital and now they're out of the hospital and they want us to come to their birthday party, maybe. But your general run of the mill, Cody's turning 5 and wants Star Wars characters. We've been asked by Lucasfilm to not do that. We want to focus more on charitable events.
Yep. Charity and family. Yep.
Yep.
Any other questions for this position?
Or any other questions about anything we've talked about or elections in general?
I don't see anything posted. Hey, yeah. Catherine, before we close, can I talk a little bit about the LXO position?
Yes, absolutely.
It's an appointed position as well.
Yeah.
I just want to kind of give a little overview of the LXO position. This is a little different than traditional appointed positions. Normally when a candidate that's going to run for LCO decides to run, normally they already have someone kind of in mind of who they may select as their LXO should they win the election. However, there's nothing in the charter that says that someone who feels that they might be a good fit as LXO cannot go to a potential candidate and say, hey, if you are selected, I would like to be considered for the position. A lot of times there might be LCOs that sit there and wonder as candidates, well, who will I pick or who will be a good fit? But the Legion Executive Officer is appointed by the LCO, and that selection is ratified by the Rebel Command Council. An LXO must have the requisite experiences to qualify for LCO, because if the LCO has to step down or has to be away for an extended part of time, the LXO assumes duties as the LCO until that position is either replaced, they finish out the term and pick a new LXO, or they return from a sabbatical for a personal reason if necessary. Like other positions, the LXO cannot hold any other elected or appointed Rebel Legion offices on the global, local, or detachment levels while serving in that position. Moreover, the Legion Executive Officer is more than anything else an advisor and assistant to the LCO, and also an advisor to many committees and groups within the administrative council and the support staff to bounce ideas, to give input on things that administrate the Legion, and also takes the responsibility again as LCO when they're absent. Reports directly to the LCO for Legion-related operation matters, serves as the liaison in the name of the LCO for various committees and meetings and communications as assigned by the LCO, acts as an advisor and observer for the LAC, or the Legion Command Council and the RCC, but has no voting privileges on any of those councils, is there as an advisor only. The LXO will also serve as an interim COG for disciplinary actions if the COG is unavailable, ACOGs are unavailable, or they find that their office cannot be impartial if necessary. But probably the biggest and most important, the LXO serves as the chairperson of the Charter Review Committee and is responsible for making sure that all charter amendments that come in go through the proper process for review, drafting, voting, review by membership, review by the various councils that need to B for input and recommendations for changing of wording, coordinating that between the RCC and the person who submitted the amendment. Two different types. There's an amendment to the main charter. There's also an amendment to an SOP, and that process is handled just a little bit different. The LXO can serve as a temporary voting member to the LAC if a position becomes vacant until a new election can be completed. They may also be granted permissions of the COG to overrule elected officials in disciplinary matters when acting as the interim COG, and the full permissions of the voting member of the LAC to overrule various elected officials when acting as the interim member of the LAC during a given vacancy. So that's just the basic rundown. The time that's required for the position, it varies. The LCO may assign the LXO other various responsibilities. For example, one of the additional duties I have is I'm responsible for voting or for posting the minutes of the Legion Council's activities to the membership every month, and I do that within the first week or two of the next month after it's happened, and any other various duties as assigned. So if you're interested and meet the requirements to fill the position, I encourage you to reach out. If a candidate has not already reached out to you already to gauge interest, it's a rewarding. You get to really see the inner workings of how the Rebel Legion works, and how the Legion Council works if you've not already served on that council, and how all the administrative pieces come together and administrate our organization as a whole. It's a lot of work by a lot of people, and a lot of things done behind the scenes that the general membership do not see. Thanks, Catherine.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. Is there any questions about that? Last call for questions in general. If anybody's typing, I'll just take this time to also plug Rebel Reads. Please check the Rebel Briefing part of the forum. We have a lot of cool stuff going on. There's ways that members can participate in terms of submitting videos. Yesterday, I posted a new topic about the So Powerful Purse project. It supports school children in Zambia they're not able to attend school when they're menstruating due to a lack of sanitary products. So this fits in with our education theme of Rebel Reads, and a lot of our members sew. So it would be great if we can make some things for that in addition to the fundraising that we're going to be doing for the Save the Children charity. So check all that out on Rebel Briefing, and I will continue to spam everyone in the Rebel Legion Information Center about it as well.
We just have a comment that says from Levon. It says, "Thank you for organizing these very informative presentations. Well done."
Thank you. Thanks for showing up. Yeah, we're always trying to improve our process. So, all right, I think we gave everybody enough time to type while I was talking about Rebel Read stuff. So thanks for coming. We will get this as soon as it's done processing. I will post the link for Zoom on the Rebel Legion Information Center and in the forum. And that link will probably go dead in a couple of days, but that will be after we get it up on YouTube as a permanent link. So yeah, you'll be able to, if you missed part of it or want to share it with a friend, you can do that. All right.
Thanks guys.
Everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
May the force be with you.
Guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.